Hi guys. I am going to read to you today an article called An Overview of Imperial China's Dynasties. Something a little bit different about today's articles. There are all the names of China's dynasties in here. I think the reading gets a little confusing as you go through it. I'm going to try to read it more slowly, and just remember you can always stop and rewind if you need to. But the questions that go along with this are pretty straightforward. So they're not anything that goes too deep. So they should be pretty easy to answer. One thing that I do want to tell you though, before we get started, is today, instead of flipping over to the Google Doc, when we get done with the reading, I'm going to read the questions from here. They're the exact same questions that are here in the Google Doc, but on the last question here, it cuts off. And I can't read it all the way through without it messing up. So you guys will flip to this document to answer the questions, but you can still follow along with me on this doc because it's the exact same thing. They're the exact same questions. But I will just go a little bit more slowly when we get to that point to give you a chance to flip over to the other doc. All right. An overview of Imperial China's dynasties. The Chinese Empire was one of history's most long-lived empires. Over thousands of years, various ruling dynasties rose and fell. A dynasty is a family group that passes down the right to rule through its family line. The period during which a particular family ruled is also called a dynasty. Single dynastic families often remained in power for hundreds of years until they were replaced by another powerful family group. The throne was passed down from father to son. Myth or reality? The Xia dynasty was the first of many ancient Chinese ruling families. It stayed in power from around 2070 BC until 1600 BC. Or did it? Many historians are unsure the Xia dynasty ever really existed. They believe the Xia dynasty is only a legend. Tradition has it that the first Xia king was a man named Yu. He is said to have repaired the damage caused by a major flood, and for this reason, the gods awarded him the mandate of heaven, or the right to rule. The right was passed down through his family line. Archaeologists have found evidence of large-scale floods from around the Xia time period, so the traditional story might be at least partly true. The Xia dynasty is said to have been overthrown in 1600 BC by the first Shang leader. Of course, the Xia dynasty might not have existed, so if it did not, the Shang dynasty was really the first of China's dynasties. China's Golden Age. The Shang rulers stayed in power for about 600 years. China's writing system was invented during this period of rule. Many later historians viewed the Shang's dynasty as a golden age. In 1046 BC, the Shang king was overthrown by the Zhou king. The Shang dynasty then came to an end. The Zhou dynasty was the longest of ancient China's dynasties. It lasted from 1046 BC to 256 BC. Some of ancient China's most important writers and philosophers lived during this period, including Confucius and the first Taoist thinkers. The years from 476 BC to 221 BC are known as the Warring States period. During this time, the 7 regions controlled by the Zhao began fighting among each other. The Qin armies finally won this struggle in 256 BC. They then overthrew the Zhao leaders, China and the thousands of warriors. The Qin dynasty only lasted 15 years, 221 to 206 BC. However, it was an important time in Chinese history. It was a period of unification. Various territories surrounding China were brought under Chinese rule. The first Qin leader was Qin Shi Huang. He is also sometimes called Shi Huangdi or Qin Shi Huang. He began work on what would become the Great Wall of China. Qin Shi Huang died in 210 BC. Almost 8,000 statues of warriors were buried along with him. Qin Shi Huang was followed by his son, Qin Shi. Qin Shi's reign lasted only 3 years before he was overthrown in 206 BC. The leader of the rebels, Liu Bang, became the first emperor of the Han Dynasty. The Han Dynasty, which lasted from 206 BC to AD 220, marked another golden age of China. During this time, Confucianism became the official state religion and the Silk Road was established. The Silk Road was a trade route connecting Asia to Europe. In AD 220, the last Han emperor was overthrown. Han rule was followed by a period known as the Three Kingdoms. Three Kingdoms and an Empress. During the Three Kingdoms period, AD 220 to 280, China was divided into three states, Cao Wei, Shu Han, and Dong Wu. Between AD 386 and 581, the region further broke apart into the northern and southern territories. In the year 581, the Qing Dynasty arose. While it was short-lived, the Qing Dynasty managed to reunite the northern and southern territories. However, in 618, the Qing were overthrown by the Tang. The Tang Dynasty, which ran from AD 618 to 906, is often called the greatest of the dynasties. Its members included China's only female ruler, Empress Wu Zetian. She ruled the Chinese Empire for about 20 years. The Mongol takeover. The Tang Dynasty was followed by a period of constant warring. In the year 960, the Song Dynasty came to power. During this period, the world's first paper money was issued. The Song Dynasty lasted until 1279 when it was defeated by the Mongols. The Mongols then ruled China as the Qin Dynasty from 1279 until 1368. The Qin Dynasty was overthrown in 1368 by the Ming Emperor Zhu Yongzhong. The Ming emperors expanded the Great Wall of China in an effort to keep invaders out. Nonetheless, invading Manchu forces eventually ended the Ming Dynasty in 1644. The last emperors. The Manchu invaders established the Qing Dynasty, which ruled from 1644 to 1911. During this time, China came into conflict with other countries. In 1911, the last of the Chinese emperors, Pu, stepped down. China then became a republic. Okay, so again, you guys are going to flip over and answer the questions on the Google form. I am going to go back, though, to the article and read the questions from here. Same questions. You can follow along on the Google form. Question 1. What is the relationship between the Xia Dynasty and the Shang Dynasty? A, the Xia Dynasty was the longest of the ancient dynasties, while the Shang was the shortest. B, the Xia Dynasty began building the Great Wall, while the Shang Dynasty completed it. C, both dynasties are said to be the first in China, but the Xia Dynasty overthrew the Shang to rule. Or D, both dynasties are said to be first in China, but the Xia might be a myth and the Shang was real. Question 2, maybe. Sorry, scrolled back up to the top. Question 2. What effect did the Han Dynasty have on China? It introduced the great writers and philosophers that included Confucius and the first Taoists. B, it expanded the Great Wall of China but was unable to keep out Manchu invaders from ruling. C, it marked a golden age when an official religion was established and the Silk Road developed trade. D, it reunited the northern and southern territories that had been broken into the Three Kingdoms. 3. Again, sorry, went back to the top. It doesn't like me sliding this down. Question 3. The article is mostly organized using chronological order, first to last. Why do you think the author chose to organize the information this way? A, to explore the efforts that the dynasties have on modern-day China. B, to explain the problems the dynasties tried to solve in different ways. C, to demonstrate the contrast between early dynasties and later ones. D, to describe the ways the different dynasties ruled and changed China. And lastly, number 4, read the article's introduction and its final section, The Last Emperors. What is one connection between the two sections? A, both sections list the different dynasties that ruled China. B, both sections define what it means to have a dynasty ruling. C, the introduction summarizes how dynasties continue along family lines, and the final section explains how this ended. D, the introduction describes problems associated with having dynasties, and the final section shows how this was solved. All right, guys, good luck.